All right, welcome to our class. This is lesson 2, where we're going to discuss various components. To start with, we're going to look at demand theory, supply theory, what consumer surplus is, equilibrium, and what a market is. In the previous class, we were looking at the tutorial questions dealing with demand. So we say demand is more than just a mere want or need that one has, but it goes with the willingness and ability that an individual has towards purchasing a particular item within a specified period of time. And so we're going to answer a few questions, and I'll do a few computations and elaborate more. So what is a market? So economics has a composition of both the theory and the calculation part. And so you need to understand the concepts. And this is simply a glossary of the terms that we're going to be using in this whole syllabus. So a market is simply a place where buyers and sellers come together. It needn't necessarily be a physical place. It can be a virtual place. It can be an online place. So it's simply an arena that allows buyers and sellers to come together to exchange goods and services. It can be a grocery store. It can be an online store. So that is what a market is. So we're also asked to discuss or define demand and supply. So demand, to start with, is simply the quantity of a good or a service that consumers are willing and able to purchase at a given price. Whereas supply is simply the quantity of a good or service that producers are willing and able to offer at a given price. So if you check properly, the key terms that you need to understand here, there's an ability and a willingness. So these are moving hand in hand. Ability and the willingness. So when we go to supply as well, it talks about the willingness and ability to offer at a given period in time. So I may further on go to explaining the laws that surround these two components. Demand is always downsloping, supply is always upsloping. So the demand function is given by A minus dq. Supply function is given by A plus dq. So the supply has a positive gradient. The demand has a negative gradient. And our price is on the horizontal and our quantity comes here. Price is here and the quantity is here. So this is called our intercept, the cutting point. This is called the intercept, the cutting point. So equilibrium is simply a point where these two meet. Demand is downsloping, supply is upsloping. The point where they meet is called the equilibrium. This area here is called the consumer surplus. This area down there is called the producer surplus. When you total these up, they give us what is called our total surplus, PS. And books will call this as what? Social welfare, W. Are we together? So
yes, sir.
These areas that we are looking at here are simply triangles, which are given by half BH. Half times the base times the height. Half times the base times the height. So these ones are the areas we're talking about. So in economics, you must have the ability to know how to sketch graphs. So even without putting a suffix here, we can know that this is a demand function because of the negative slope. How do we plot? We put the letters on one side. This goes on the other side. It becomes our function like that. There's an invisible one, 1 into 100, but we get 100. 2 into 100, but we get a 50. So we're going to plot this. We know that our P is here, our Q is there. So to cut the P at 100, put 100 there, then our 50 is there, and our 0 is there, our 50 is there, and our 100 is there. So it is cutting here, the P is cutting at 100, the Q is cutting at 50. Here, and you just draw a curve like this. This is how easy you're able to draw your demand function. This is 100, and that's 2Q. Suppose we're given the supply function 10 minus 5Q. This cannot be minus because it is a supply function. If our subject is supply, it will be plus there. So how do we sketch it? This will go to the other side. Then we'll equate it to this. And we identify the intercepts as the one there. 1 into 10 is 10. Negative 5 into 10, negative what? 2. So we are going to draw our curves again. Our price is there, our quantity is there. Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Negative 2, this is 0. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, negative 4. So it's cutting our T axis at 10, you put a point there. It's cutting our Q axis at 2, put a point there. So you can join these two lines. So your line is upsloping. Of course, we're not starting from the negative side because we want to show that our graph has no negative quantity. So it's upsloping there. So this is how you plot equations. Are we together at this point?
Yes, sir.
All right. If you have a mind, please feel free to ask. All right, let's proceed to our next question. What is a demand schedule? A demand schedule is simply a table that shows the relationship between our price of a good and quantity demanded. Whilst a supply schedule is simply a table that shows the relationship between our price of a good or service or the quantity supplied. Now it is from the schedules that we are able to sketch or plot. For instance, this is our schedule. We have price and we have quantity. So here we have maybe 2, 4, 6, 8. All right. Then here we have 10, 8, 6, 4. So if you're going to sketch this, price is there and the quantity is there. So 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So here 2 against 10, you will just keep putting in. So 2 on the price, 10 here, you put your X there. 4 against 8. So 4 here, then here 8, you put it there. Then 6 against 6, 6 here, and 6, you put it there. Then 8 against 4, 8 here and 4, put it there. So you discover that if you meet up these lines, you discover that your demand schedule is downsloping. So this is what we call a schedule. Demand must always be downsloping. Supply must always be upsloping. The very schedule, you may have the same prices. Maybe they add here the quantities. Here they're putting 4, 6, 8, 10. So 2 against 4, so 2 against 4, you put it here. 4 against 6, so 4 against 6, you put it there. Then 6 against 8, okay. 6 against 8, so 6 there, and 8, put it there. Then 8 against 10, so 8, then 10 there. So if we're going to meet up the lines, it'll go something like that. All right, so this is our demand, and this is our supply. Where they meet, it's called the equilibrium. All right. So this is how you plot the schedules. This is how they look like. So it is also important that you know how to draw these curves. So we're also being asked, a demand curve shows, what is a demand curve? It's a curve that shows the relationship between price and quantity. Also, supply curve is a curve that shows the relationship between the price and the quantity supplied. Demand is between the price and the quantity demanded. So I've already shown you that. Then equilibrium is simply a point at which the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. So this is an equilibrium. So equilibrium quantity is a quantity of a good or service that is demanded and supplied at the same equilibrium price. So just to illustrate this point, we said equilibrium occurs when what? Demand meets supply. But demand is equal to what? Supply. So suppose you're given a demand function as 100 minus 2Q. And you're given a supply function 10 plus 3Q. You're asked to find and illustrate demand. So where there is demand here, we're going to put this function here, which is 100 minus 2Q is equal to where there's supply, we're going to put our function here, which is what? 10 plus 3Q. When we equate them, we're going to have 100 minus 10. And this one will go there with 2Q plus 3Q. So when you add and subtract, we're going to have a 5Q there. So meaning to find our Q, it will be 90 divided by 5. 90 divided by 5 is equal to 18. All right. So we now need to find the price at the same time. The price, we can use any of these functions here. P is equal to what? 100 minus 2Q. So where there's Q, since we found our 18, just going to put 18 in there. So this will be 100 minus 36. So this will give us 64. Suppose we use the other function here. Are we still going to get the same answer? Let's try. 10 plus 3Q, where there's Q, we put what? 18. So 3 times 18 is 54. 54 plus 10 is still giving us 64. All right, now let's illustrate. Remember, I said the easiest way to illustrate is to put the letters on one side. So we already sketched this figure here. Fortunately, I'm picking what is easy for what we've already solved. 1 into 100, it's 100. 2 into 100, it's 50. And when we bring this one here, the letters on one side, we're going to have P minus 3Q is equal to what? 10. So we're going to divide there. There's a 1 there. 1 into 10 is 10. 3 into 10 is negative 3.33. So to illustrate this, we're going to use the intercepts. At P, for the demand, it's cutting at 100 and at 50. So we know it's downsloping at 100 here and at 50 here. Then for the supply, it's starting from the negative Q. We never show the negative, starting from there. So here it will cut at 10. 10. The equilibrium here, we've calculated the quantity, it is 18, and the price, it is 64. So we know that this is the consumer surplus, and we know that this is the producer surplus. So these ones, we already said that the area is simply half of base times height. So if I'm going to magnify those graphs so that you're able to follow through, this is at 18 and this is at 64. It was cutting here at 10. It was cutting here at what? 100. So this distance from here to there, I can illustrate it further as follows. So these are the two triangles we're dealing with. Okay. So we have our distance here as what? 36. Here, from here to here is 36. Here it's 54. And the distance from here to here is 18. So half pH, we're going to have our base as 18, our height as 36. Then when we go here, we're going to have our base as 18, our height as what? 54. So when you compute that, 18 times 36 divided by 2, we're getting 324. 18 times 54 divided by 2. The 2 I'm dividing is just half, 486. So this is called the consumer surplus. This is called the producer surplus. When we add these 324, we're going to get 810. This is called our social welfare or total surplus. So this is how our equilibrium is being explained in this concept there. So the consumer surplus is the difference between the maximum price the consumer is willing to pay for a good or a service and the actual price. The producer surplus is the difference between the minimum a producer is willing to accept for a good and the actual price they actually receive. So demand actually refers to the willingness and the ability to purchase a good or service at a given time, while quantity demanded for a good refers to a specific quantity of a good or a service that consumers are willing and able to purchase at that price. Supply simply refers to the overall willingness and ability for producers to offer a good or service for sale at a given time, whereas quantity supplied is simply the specific quantity of a good or service that producers are willing and able to offer at that price. So prices in a market will settle down at equilibrium. Equilibrium is simply the intersection between our demand and our supply, because at that point, both the consumers and both the suppliers come to an agreement. So what are the determinants of demand? We have a number. There's income, which is a consumer's income. It has it's a key determinant because it shows the ability that you and I have to purchase these goods and services. It brings about what we call the income effect. If the elasticity is positive, it is a normal good. If the elasticity is negative, it is an inferior good. Other factors are related goods. The price of related goods can also affect the demand for good or service. If the price of a substitute increases, the demand of this original good may increase. So a substitute good usually has a positive elasticity of demand, whereas a complementary good has a negative elasticity of demand. Other factors are what? Tastes and preferences. So your choices or your tastes are affected by what you like. Expectations also for future prices will affect the demand. If you hear that fuel is going to increase at midnight, you buy so much of it. The determinants of supply include input prices. This is the cost of inputs such as the raw materials. These ones will affect the supply of a good or a service. If the input increases, the supply for a good may decrease because it will be costly to run. Other factors that will affect supply includes technology. If technology improves, it will be easier and cheaper to produce a service. We also have number of suppliers. If the number of suppliers in the market are more, meaning the good or service in particular will be more. Expectations of future prices as well. These ones are key determinants of supply, because if the supplier's expectations of future prices of a good are expected to go up, meaning producers will expect prices to increase in future. This means they'll produce more and more to sell for later. For instance, in the maize crisis that we have now, that the inputs are kind of high and expensive, we expect maize to be expensive, and some of the suppliers or small-scale farmers who produce maize are shunning away. But those who know the market fluctuations would want to do more maize because they know the price of maize will be high, expectation will be high. So this is our class where we end. So I'll send you these questions to answer. I've already answered them. I need you to answer them in your own way. So I end here. Unless there are any questions, you can ask now.